This afternoon I'm joined by Michael Seidel, who is on board the Meteor with us, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he does on the M206 cruise. So, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Can you start maybe by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got here?
I'm Michael or Michael Seidel. I'm from the University of Oldenburg in Germany, Institute for Chemistry and Biology of the Marine Environment. So I'm a marine scientist. To be more specific, I'm a marine oceanographer or a marine chemist. And I'm studying organic matter in the ocean, dissolved organic matter, so dissolved organic molecules in the ocean.
And what is your role then on the cruise?
My role on this research vessel is to coordinate the research about the organic matter. So I'm leading a small group with a student and a scientist from Brazil, and we are taking samples here. So we take lots of water samples, we filter them, and that's what we have to do because we are interested in everything that's dissolved in the water, organic molecules that are dissolved. So basically like your tea filter, right? When you put your tea leaves in, those stay in the filter, but the tea that goes through, that's the organic molecules that are dissolved in the water. And we have little filters cartridges that have a polymer in them that basically absorb the organic molecules. So we run the seawater over those, and then we take back the cartridges to Oldenburg.
In particular, your group, what are you hoping to find, or what are you looking for?
So the interesting thing about the dissolved organic molecules in the ocean is that we don't really know why they are there and where they are coming from. So just to give you a perspective, just like trees on land fix carbon, so they turn CO2, carbon dioxide into biomass, organic biomass. That's what we see in land plants, trees, grass. The same thing is happening in the ocean, right? But we don't have trees there, we have little tiny algae, so-called phytoplankton. They do the same thing, they do photosynthesis. They take the CO2, carbon dioxide, and they turn it into organic biomass. And
the phytoplankton are the ones that make the sea turn green.
Exactly,
right?
yeah. That's when sometimes you see green water. Now we have mostly blue water. That's when you don't have a lot of phytoplankton. And the interesting thing is, phytoplankton in the ocean, they do the same process as trees on land in the same rate. So they produce also oxygen and biomass. But there's much less biomass in the ocean on phytoplankton compared to trees. When you compare a forest, it has lots of trees, you see big plants, but when you look in the ocean, there's maybe some big algae, sometimes kelp, but most of the time there's only a few percent biomass in the ocean compared to land. And most of the stuff that phytoplankton releases is quickly eaten, but a part of the molecules that the phytoplankton release ends up in the ocean and accumulates as a really large organic carbon pool, one of the largest organic carbon pools on Earth, dissolved organic carbon. And that pool is, when you compare the sizes, the carbon that is in the ocean, organic carbon, is as big as there is biomass on land. So so that's where the organic carbon goes in the ocean.
Right, and why do we care? Why is that important for us?
We care about it because there is a link. You know, the global carbon cycle is linked. So everything that is fixed as carbon on land, or is fixed in the ocean as on land, is ultimately linked also to the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, because it's all, when carbon decays and it's degraded, goes back into CO2 and then it's fixed again. And we want to know why this carbon is in the ocean, because it's very old. Some of it is 5,000 to 6,000 years old, some of it even 20,000 years. So it's when you think about it, it's like going back in the Stone Age, and some of the carbon in the ocean is that old, and we don't know why it's there.
But it's not bad that it's there.
It's good. So it's actually for us, it's good.
Right.
Because we especially now that we have climate change and there's a lot of CO2 in the atmosphere, we want to know how these two carbon pools are coupled: the CO2 in the atmosphere and the organic carbon in the ocean, and how that will change in the future. Because there's as much organic carbon not only as in the ocean as there is on land in biomass. The pools are actually also comparable with the CO2 in the atmosphere. So there's as much CO2 in the atmosphere as there's dissolved organic carbon in the ocean. And that means if we change one of those, the other one will probably also change. So
Sure.
if you have more CO2 in the atmosphere, it might also be that the DOC changes in the ocean, gets more, gets less. And we don't know yet what will happen in the future.
Okay.
And we need to know that because we want to know, is it bad for us? Will it release carbon back to the atmosphere, which would increase climate change, for example? Or maybe it will increase in the ocean, take up more carbon, and that would be good for us because it would take out CO2.
Okay, wow. So it's a really fundamental question.
It is. And the other question is, and that's why that's why we are here in the Amazon and the mangroves. A lot of the terrestrial carbon that is fixed on land in biomass as trees or as mangroves, so those are trees that grow in salty ecosystems. Not all of it stays on land, but when the trees decay, the carbon gets dissolved in rivers or in little tidal channels, and this is also transported to the ocean. So a part of the carbon we find in the ocean is actually from the Amazon River or from mangroves. And a part of that carbon from mangroves, for example, we find in the deep ocean as one of the very old carbon. And we want to know also, why is it stable? And why does it accumulate in the ocean? And will that change in the future? For example, if we have less rainforests on land, less mangroves, will that affect this carbon in the ocean? Again, in respect to the CO2 that's in the atmosphere.
Yes, they're all connected. Okay, that's brilliant. That's a really nice explanation. Thank you for that. So what attracted you to the sciences in the first place? How did you get into this? What age were you when you decided, I want to be a scientist?
That's hard to say, but as a child, I was already interested in nature and documentaries.
Okay. So you made that decision when you were at school?
I was always interested in natural sciences in school.
Okay. Yes.
And then after school, I had to decide what I want to study because I wanted to study. And I looked into natural sciences, and I wanted to do something that has to do with environment. So I looked up some study programs, and I found the Marine Environmental Sciences program in Oldenburg. Okay. So that's some environmental studies that with a focus on the ocean, obviously. And when I saw that back in the days, I was hooked up. Yeah, I wanted to learn it. Yeah. Okay. And because it combines all the things that I like: ocean, environment, natural sciences.
Okay. Yeah. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. And if you were giving advice to someone who is thinking about whether they should go into the sciences or the arts, or they're worried about their career, I know there's a lot of pressure on kids now when people are talking about, you need to be able to earn lots of money, and you need to be happy and fulfilled, and you have to do everything. What do you say to them? So,
if you want to get rich, science is probably not the way to go.
Oh, really?
But that's sorry.
No.
But if, like you said, it's something if it fulfills you and makes you happy. So for me, to go on a ship, do research in mangroves, find out new things in the lab, work together with people, and teach other people about what I've learned. That's what brings me joy, and that's what keeps me going. So
that sounds good. Well, and what about the adventure as well? Because there is a side to it that's connected with adventure and discovery and exploration and things like that. So do you do a lot of field work, and is that one of the reasons why you were interested?
Of course, the Southern Ocean was fun for me when I went there with an icebreaker.
Yes, great fun.
Some of the research we do off the coast of Africa. There's some upwelling we do there.
So you've been all over the world, basically.
Yeah, that's part of the job. Yeah, we go on research vessels. So
that sounds really good.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, if I got the pronunciation right, thank you very much for joining us. That was really good, and some great explanations there. And I'm sure some of our audience will be really interested and inspired to get out there and explore and be scientists.
Yes, please. We need you.
Yes, we need you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Okay.